Welcome to the Brooklyn Podcast with yours truly, Anthony Puccio, my co-host Colin Helwig, where we can't have nice things. The Nets, they win 26 games this year, and they finish with the number 8 pick. Colin, what is your first thought?
It's not so much that the Nets jump back 2 slots, it's that the Philadelphia 76ers, a team that tried to win this year and is only here because they were so bad at that, they stink. They should not be here. The Dallas Mavericks, what was it? They're number 1. I think they had the 3rd largest jump from the smallest percentage in league history. And the 3rd team, the Spurs, literally got the greatest prospect of all time a year ago or 2 years ago. This is I can't use the word greed, like the greed they talk about in the Bible, because they didn't exactly like do the right stuff tanking wise to get there. But holy cow, does this seem unjust? Not just to the Nets, but every other team that was looking to jump into the top 3. What do you think, Pooch?
All right, so anybody that's in here right now that's been a Nets fan, whether it's the Brooklyn days, whether it's the New Jersey days, Colin, how many times have I said we haven't seen them pick their own lottery pick since 2010 when they won 12 games, and they got Derek Favors with the number 3 pick. And at that time, getting the number 3 pick felt like a colossal failure. Where nowadays it feels like if the Nets got at least a top 5 pick, it would be miraculous.
Mhm.
So to fall to 8, I mean, now you have a top 10 pick. They traded that Suns pick that the Rockets own, which fell only 2 spots below them, which is now 10, and they have the 8th. It just feels like it's not that the season was a waste. Of course not. If they do actually take someone with this pick, I'm sure they'll be a fine young player. It's just, I mean, we watched a year of tanking, not tanking, tanking, not tanking. We've waited 15 years to see this team pick their own lottery pick. I mean, this is a day that Nets fans are just used to getting mocked for the last 10 years. And it feels like the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, you see them pull that card at 8, and you fall to the floor. Like, this is what all of that for this. Now, if a Malawach or Jeremiah Fears could fall to 8, Colin, that would be freaking awesome. But they have 4 picks. Giannis rumors are heating up the day that the draft lottery comes. I kind of think this indicates that they probably would be quicker to not tank again. Like, why would you want to tank and take these odds when the Dallas Mavericks are picking first overall? And I'll get into that. But like, if you're the Nets, do you really want to take that risk again if you could go get a superstar?
I get it, and I get those feelings. I still wouldn't trade for Giannis because I just don't think what you're going to give up is going to be worth what you're getting back. We talked about it all last week. 5th best team in the East. I think what the Nets are, everyone's going to be all doom and gloom tonight, but I would rather be where the Nets are right now. Top 10 pick. This time last year, their best player was Mikal Bridges. They were the 9th worst team in the league, and they had half the amount of draft picks. And Cam Johnson had almost no value because he was coming off not a good year, a year where he was injured. Now, yes, they're only picking 8th, but they still have 4 first-round draft picks. They still have the most total draft picks. They have the most cap space in the league. I'm saying let's not overreact. I know that's a bit of a tough ask considering what we just saw, but that's at least where I'm thinking. I still think the Nets are in a better situation than they were this time last year. And, Sean Marks, pick up the phone. Let's see if anyone's willing to, take Cam Johnson and one of the later picks so the Nets can move up or something like that. There's
Yeah.
now at least we get to put on our analytical goggles and say, all right, here's how can we make the best of this? And
We rip the Band-Aid off and we know what it is.
I
At least
understand.
there's
I
that.
understand being pissed off though. Giving the Philadelphia 76ers another top 3 pick is like giving someone who just had like 6 DUIs a Rolls Royce. Like
Yeah.
they are the last team that should be here. At least
My thing is,
go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. No, it's like obviously the league isn't going to reward tanking, and like, one team in the bottom 5 got a top 4 pick. Charlotte,
I
as you
mean,
mentioned, Philly.
Philly tanked. They were
Philly
last minute
tanked out.
tankers. They were you
Yeah,
could argue they were the most egregious tankers based on how they treated the second
yeah,
half of the season.
yeah. So you got two egregious tankers in there, pretty much, and 2 teams. I mean, the Spurs were a playoff team before Wemby got hurt, or at least borderline.
Yeah.
Colin, I'm just I'm so disgusted. I'm speechless. Not even about the Nets, just at the mat. Like I mean, they had a 1%, 1.8% chance to land the number one pick. And I don't need to be the guy that's like conspiracy, conspiracy, conspiracy. But listen, like I mean, how can you not? How can you watch the NBA product and watch this draft lottery tonight? Watch this NBA season. See what Nico Harrison and the Mavericks did, trading Luka Doncic in a secret trade to Los Angeles, and they end up with the first pick with Cooper Flag. They end up 1.8% chance. Like, how is my thing is like the loyalty and trust with fans. Like, if it isn't rigged, that's fine. But like, how come they can't do the drawings in front of us anymore? This is fucking pathetic. Like I'm sorry with the language, but like this is kind of crazy.
I I agree with you, and I'll say this result of a lottery, it's the kind of result that makes you as a basketball fan not want to watch basketball anymore. I agree with that. Like
Yeah, like the
it's
purity of the
putrid.
sport feels
It's
gone.
sad we're saying that, with the Nets dropping back, but Wizards fans, even Hornets fans are probably annoyed they're only at 4. Jazz fans are all irate tonight, and rightfully so. So,
Yeah, I mean, again, I think if you want to build trust and say no, this isn't something that's manipulated or whatever, you do the drawings in front of everybody, right? You do it. You make it a TV event. That's not ever going to be the case.
mhm.
So you can make an argument like, but I don't know. I mean,
You don't really think it's rigged, do you?
I don't know. I don't know anymore. Like how am I supposed to look at the integrity of the game after they trade Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis and Christie? They don't get a max deal. They don't get massive amount of picks back. They have a 1.8% chance, and they end up with a generation who's someone who's supposed to be a generational player. I'm not trying to be like conspiracy guy or anything like that. It's just like from a unbiased perspective, like how am I supposed to look at this past season and be like, yeah, this is like all completely normal. Like from the trade to everything that just happened that we just watched. Am I
Yeah.
like I don't know. Like it's not that I think the league is rigged, but I think things like this they could definitely manipulate. You know, we don't know. It's all behind closed doors.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one thing. Just gonna name some random players who've been picked first overall. Anthony Bennett, Markel Fultz, Kwame Brown. Some guys who've been picked 8 overall. Number 8, the great
Please.
Robert Parrish,
Oh,
Detlef Shrimp, Rudy Gay, a 2K legend. Come on, let's be positive here. Like
hey, Rudy
I
Gay.
get it. I get it. It's okay to be upset, but I'm not gonna. This is kind of what we expected. And if you say the Nets should have tanked harder, the team that had a 1.8% chance to win just won the lottery. This
No,
by no means validates
right.
or cancels out like tanking. It's the luck of the draw, and we knew what it was at all times. We know percentages are a thing, and obviously you want to be picking first, but shit happens. Shit happened tonight. It's unfortunate that the shit that happened was not the kind of shit that benefits the Nets. But it's there's really not a lesson to be learned here. And I think people are trying to grasp at a lesson at this. And the lesson is that shit happens and it's an unpredictable league and it's a lottery and you can do the best you can buy into one strategy or another. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And 4 first round picks.
I feel like I'm about to pull you. Like my dog just died, and like you're like my mom are telling me, don't worry, we'll get another dog. Like it's like, oh my god, you're the analogy guy. You know better than me.
I mean, hey,
I just
I'll tell you, like, there's no team that had worse luck, in my opinion, in terms of the big three fall down and COVID happening at the peak of that than the Brooklyn Nets. There's no team that deserved it more, but maybe I'm just used to the Brooklyn Nets getting the short end of the stick
yeah
historically. So that's why I'm less I kind of like expected this to happen because you build a generational team and a pandemic happens and it gets blown up. Like this is how we do it. Fuck it, we ball.
yeah. Well, I want to give a shout out, Colin, to the people that are in here right now. Thanks guys for supporting, and thanks for hopping in here. Got a lot of comments in here. If you want to drop your reactions, ask questions, or just vent it out, be our guest. Unc Nick says, Colin, any sensible GM wouldn't trade Luka Doncic for the draft rights to Cooper Flag. So any conspiracy theory would say that's exactly what Nico Harrison did, but it's still a net loss for the Mavs. So he's saying it's not a conspiracy because, like, basically the trade-off, if it's Luka for Cooper Flag, is a net loss for the Mavericks in the time being. But
I
they got
agree.
Anthony Davis. But they have Anthony Davis though. Like now they got Kyrie, AD, and Coop. Bro, they're good. Like when Kyrie
No, they
comes
are.
back,
They are. They are.
that's a damn
Let's
good
just
team.
not do that. I think the conspiracy thing is a lazy take to say that the NBA is
That's fair.
scripted, the NFL is scripted. It's you're upset that some shit happened and it went poorly for your team. Guess what? That's life, you know? If the NBA
No,
was scripted, if the NFL was scripted, and I hate to sound like I'm defending the big man, it would have gotten out by now, you know?
I know, but you're valid, but you can't get upset. It's like what we were saying with the pro tankers and anti tankers, like telling each other how to root for the team. Like you can't also look at someone like myself who's like skeptical about this and saying like, "All right, what the fuck just happened?" You know, like you could say like, "Pooch, I don't agree with you," or like maybe you sound like you're a little bit cynical,
I
but
can say I will give you this. There is merit behind your feelings.
that's
Pooch,
fair.
you're a smart guy. I think you know that
Thanks.
if this was all a hoax, that it would get out somehow. They got 20 journalists in the room that they announced who are going in for the drawing. They do post the balls getting picked out after the fact. It's on YouTube.
Yeah. I'm not sitting here saying like it's just blatantly rigged. Just something, Colin. Like it's like trying, like you said, you're trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. But as you mentioned, it's a lottery. This is like the Nets knew what they were signing up for. Sean Marks said it mid-season when in that New York Post article with Brian Lewis when the Giannis rumors really started to heat up, and he said like how they want to remain flexible and they're not closed-minded to potentially chasing stars if the right one comes along,
Mhm.
while understanding that they have 4 draft picks, but it's a lottery. Like, I think that was his quote. He's like, "It's still a lottery at the end of the day, whether we're the worst team, whether we're, like, bottom 10." It makes me not wa I definitely don't wanna watch another tanking season. I'd rather them draft 4, like, young, hardworking, good players that they could develop under Jordy's system while also trying to win games. And if that subsequently means, 25 wins, then so be it. But I'd rather have a team that I could turn on and look forward to watching a couple of these guys ball. Watch these guys build a team, build something. Like you said, they're in a good position. It's disappointing because just watched not 1 year, but 2 years, even 3 years of crappy basketball, man. Last year we didn't get the reward because they didn't have a pick. This year, we had the pick, but it just didn't exceed our expectations or meet our expectations, right? And it's fair. It's just it's so frustrating. Like, be patient, keep waiting, keep waiting, keep waiting. We're
I
not even
mean,
guaranteed a top 5.
I think you're gonna have that thing that you're talking about, and I think the Nets won't be as bad as they were last year because I think they're gonna draft. They have a good history of doing well with their picks. They're gonna draft good guys, and they'll be a more enjoyable watch because it's way more exciting to watch first round talent which naturally has a higher ceiling than guys that they, with all due respect, like signed who had been cut from other teams and, are old, rookies, but like older rookies and stuff like that, where it's like, all right, odds are like Keon Johnson won't become, like a max level player, but, a first round pick totally could because he's a first round pick.
Right, right.
So that's definitely still on the table. And, maybe this is a lesson that like maybe next year the Nets should try to win a little bit more and be again because the lottery is shit happens, like so if you win a couple more games, who cares? Maybe shit will happen for you next time.
No, I look, we went through this on the Brooklyn podcast. Like, I didn't believe that they could have tanked any harder. They were top 5 in players lost in minutes lost due to injury and illness. Like, they didn't field good teams, and like you've mentioned this several times. Cam Johnson is not going to be someone that kills your tank. Like, he had a good season, but it's not like they were fielding a team of all-stars out there.
Mhm.
I don't understand. I'm with you on that, Colin. Like, I understand the frustration, Stefano, like, and I do feel like we always try and find a scapegoat in every situation, but tonight the scapegoat is just bad luck. I
Yes,
don't know.
that is
Like,
that is what it is. That is what it is.
sometimes it's just as simple as that. Like, but Colin, I would be lying if I said to you and to our audience right now that I'm not completely like I'm totally defeated right now for the NBA product. Like I really just feel it just doesn't feel right to me. Whether it's rigged or not, like it just feels wrong. And as somebody who's just my first love in this world was basketball and grew up on it, playing and watching and especially the Nets too, specifically since 2000. Like to see the purity of the sport just kind of disintegrate. Seeing
Mhm.
that Luka Doncic trade and remembering where I was, you remember where you were. I'm sure everybody in this chat remembers where they were when that trade went down. And you're saying, like, what else follows after this? Like, what does this even mean? Right? It was so
Mhm.
incomprehensible that it was like, there's got to be a catch to this, right? And we talked about it. Is it the money? Is it the new ownership? Is it like all these different things? Nico Harrison saying we want to build a defensive first team. It's like it's deflating. Like you see these percentage numbers. I almost wish they didn't have percentage numbers public at this rate. Like there's no percentages public, then we're not talking about this. But all of it just feels it just I don't know, man. As an NBA and basketball fan, it just doesn't feel right. Like I'm happy for Mavericks fans though, because they've gotten the shit end of the stick for the past year. I mean, probably one of the worst
They got
years
they
for
got
a
a they
fan
got a
base.
they got a ring in the last 20 years. I wouldn't go that far.
No, no, no. This
They've
past
had the
year.
worst
This
past
past year.
year, but
This past
well,
year was like gut.
it's still I think it's still now you can make the argument after tonight. I think before that you would have said it's easier to be a Net fan than a Mav fan. I think after tonight, you could argue that it's easier to be a Mav fan than Net fan with a ring unless you're like 10 years old, you got a ring in your lifetime. Still
Yeah,
got three very good players. Kyrie's gonna be out of a minute, but
yeah.
who would you
I
say is so if I think we can all agree Dallas is the big winner tonight. It's hard to bounce around
yeah.
that. Who would you say is the biggest loser of tonight?
You can argue. I'm not gonna say Utah because they're still in the top 5, and even Washington. I honestly, Colin, I think that Brooklyn and Toronto really, really like lost this one tonight.
Yeah,
Like I think the Nets are the biggest losers tonight.
really.
I'm looking at this order. I'm trying to really decide and
I mean,
understand.
The Nets jump
Like
back to 2. I think the Wizards jump back 3 or
Washington is
4.
bad.
Yeah,
Washington is bad. I think Washington and the Nets really, really got humped. Like for Washington to fall 4 spots for as bad as they were all year, and we talked about this on the podcast with them specifically.
yeah.
We
I mean,
riled up a lot of
Utah
fans.
Utah jump back to 4, Washington jump back to 4, New Orleans jump back to 3, Brooklyn only jump back 2.
I
We're
think
upset. It's okay to be upset, but let's be rational if we can. I'm gonna play off what you said because I agree with it. Is that the biggest loser is the NBA as a whole? That you have 3 teams that don't even deserve to be up here that won. Especially what I said about Philly. Like, they especially not only do they have a good roster at the end of the day, but they have a team that should have been good, but also they do not deserve. They have gone about getting lottery picks and they've done it the non-ethical way so many times, and they've consistently shown that they don't know how to handle first round talent or they don't know how to handle that
yeah,
pick because half their picks
good
are
point.
bad picks. So I think from a competitive, standard competitive NBA fan, that is the biggest loser of this. 3 of the top 3
Yeah,
teams who are least deserving of having this position. You couldn't have done a worse job.
that's a great point. A great point.
I mean, it's your point
Especially
too.
even
I'm playing off of what you said, but
no, but you're right.
for as
Like
much as I
for
say,
the
let's
game.
all relax and like, come on, we all know the league is not rigged. It's okay to also admit that this is a shitty outcome
Yeah,
for the league at large.
you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. The league loses tonight. The Sixers being in the top 4 is mind blowing. I think even like the Spurs being there, it's not as egregious, but like they just got Wemby, like they got a good team, man. Like it's like, and again, it's so difficult because I don't want to reward tanking on one hand, but it's also like Washington, Brooklyn, like these teams stunk. Like these teams are horrible. Utah, and they just Utah didn't end up too bad, I guess. I mean, it was a miserable
They jump
season, but
back
they're in the
4.
top 5.
They jump back 4.
I still won't call them the biggest losers though. Like I think Washington and I think Brooklyn. I gotta tell you, Colin, like, and it's not to be like overreacting or dramatic. Maybe a little bit biased because we had to sit and watch 82 of this,
Mhm.
but like this was worst case scenario though. Like going into today, if me and you were talking, and we were this weekend, like what's the worst case scenario? Falling 6 or lower. Like we knew that. Like, and this is the reality of the situation. It's just I can't believe this. Lucas Kaplan joining the chat. Lucas says, would add that tanking still provides marginal value. Would rather be number 5 than number 8, even with that terrible outcome tonight.
That's true. When we're looking at the jumping back, we're all looking at based on you, what are you relative to your position? But that position was established, you know,
Right,
months ago.
right.
I
So
would say
if they do pick, who do you realistically think they can get right now? I mean, at number 8, it's like hard to even.
we got to do our best to start spewing the Ace Bailey is just a shot chucker narrative. It starts right here, right now.
Yeah,
That dude
right on
stunk.
the Brooklyn
Rutgers,
pod.
Rutgers couldn't win with him. Uh, just not the guy, not the guy. He has no aura, Pooch.
Yeah, no aura. That's good. That'll float in
Push,
2025.
push that.
NBA circles will believe it, and they won't want it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Jeremiah Fears can fall to 8?
I have no
I saw,
idea. I
I saw
think
Jay
things are
Billis's
going to be
board.
very mock drafts are about to get very interesting because you have
Yeah,
3 teams now that are good when healthy rosters that just might draft for a little bit more for fit. Definitely more for fit than other teams would. You know, if it's the Wizards, if the Nets, it's the Jazz, it's all these teams that are not good rosters. It's like, all right, we're going to take the best player available, and that's that. You could see the Sixers looking at like Malawatch never would have went first overall, but assuming Joel Embiid is healthy, they probably weren't going to take, or excuse me, third. They probably weren't going to take Malawatch.
right.
So, I mean, who?
Malawatch, I think, is rising. I think if you
Yeah.
talked to us a couple weeks ago, we would have said maybe he could fall to 7 or 8, and we did talk about this on the podcast a couple months ago.
Hmm.
That Malawatch was like perfect. If they, we hypothetically said if the Nets are picking 6 to 8, if they fall out of the top 5, who do you want to see? I think we had Sharif on that episode too, and he was mentioning fears. We both answered Malawatch, and I don't think he's gonna fall that far.
Yeah.
I
You
just
know,
don't think he's gonna.
I don't know. I don't know either. Yeah. But, just thinking more along like 6 range like earlier because I mean, that's what the Nets were slotted at. So,
Yeah. So
wind it
what?
back
So what
just
do
a
you?
little.
So where do you go from here? Do you take? Are they taking? Are they assuming it and taking on bad contracts? Are they going to be facilitators for other teams this off season?
I think so. I think that's what you do. I'm sorry that we're not, picking in the top 4, but you know how rare it is to do a quick turnaround rebuild in almost 2 years? Doesn't happen a whole lot.
No.
It's not fun, but let's be realistic here. Like it's going to be some team building. We just finished our first year of a rebuild. You got 4 first round picks. That's a better thing you can build a foundation out of than most teams. So that's cool. But I
Yeah.
think I said this before, and even if they were top 4, Cooper Flag was really the only guy that made me think, all right, let's try to like win now with this guy, and maybe try to benefit, build around, especially while I still got a rookie contract, and if he's really that good, who knows what could happen. But I
Yeah.
just think you keep building. I think you look to get more picks next year, so you got another 4 next year.
Yeah. I really, Colin. I said this too. I think now I think they're going to try and speed things up. It's one of the like if Giannis is there and he's willing to go to Brooklyn, Sean Marks can build a team. I think they're going to go after him because not because I want them to do that, because I think they genuinely love and think the world of Giannis. That's
Mhm.
not what I want. I think at this rate, you like I said, you rock out with the 4 picks that you get. You build a team around those 4 guys. Make sure that these are guys that you want to develop, build under Jordy's system, under his culture, build an identity with these guys. You still have your pick in 2026. Rock out with them, try and win games with these young guys. The best way to develop players, as Kenny Atkinson once told me, is to win basketball games. Like he said, and you try and do that. You put it all out there. The expectations are low. If you end up with a top 5 pick, you have your pick in 2026. That's what you traded that Suns pick for.
Yeah.
And now in hindsight, it's not to fall down that rabbit hole, but like in hindsight, yes, that trade really, eh, with the Rockets, could we agree? Like
For now.
for now,
Yeah.
for now. But all that aside, I really do think like I don't personally think they should just go after Giannis, and we have discussed the reasons why. And if you want to get into that again, you can be my guest. The Brooklyn Pod Instagram was going crazy over the Giannis post and why we didn't want him, and people were saying you guys don't know how to win like championships and like things like that. But it just doesn't fit their timeline, and I think they have so much flexibility that they don't have to resort to this one player.
You know, I think we should have known this was a realistic possibility of what was gonna happen tonight.
I know. I don't know if I just like I don't know if I was prepared for this. Truthfully, like I don't think I
Okay.
was.
That's okay. I'm a bit of a
Is it-
nihilist, which I totally understand. So
What did you what when you woke up this morning? What were you like thinking about tonight? Like what was your intuition?
I thought that they would probably pick anywhere from 6 to 9, and I was like, "Oh, if they pick anywhere else, that'd be, like, really cool." But, like, that's as much thought as I gave it, because that's how it goes with this team. It's not easy. Fuck it. We ball.
I think Colin, like I think that's why everyone is so upset and the reactions are so drastic is because just in Nets world, it just feels like nothing goes our way. Like it feels depressing. And I know you're absolutely right. Like they are in a good position. They're not in a dire situation. It's just
But it's a position
right
they
when you get
earned it's a position they earned themselves. We have yet to have something where it's like, you got a good break here.
right, right. You look at the big three era. Everyone gets excited. This is finally the big break. We're gonna finally have a chance at championship. We know how that played out. The McHale era was obviously a fail, but I don't
That's
think
not an
anybody had
era.
any. Yeah, we never had any expectations. It was like a bridge to where we are right now.
Yes.
And then now we've been saying May 12th is going to be the biggest day in recent Nets history and is going to tell us a lot about where they're headed in the future. And they fall to 8. I mean, it's not to blame anyone. It's not to say anything other than it's really hard to be a Nets fan. It's really difficult. And now the discourse is going to be, do we get Giannis? Do we not? So it's going to be the pro speed this up or anti speed this up. And I think a lot of people are going to be blaming Sean Marks. Somehow Josiah will get blamed for things. Like it's going to be trying to find a scapegoat for this past season. I understand the frustrations, but more than anything, just disappointment as a Nets, like from a Nets perspective and a Nets fans perspective. It just feels like nothing, and I mean nothing goes their way.
Yeah. Got screwed. What else is new?
Exactly, though. That should be the motto. Yeah, I should have came onto the podcast and I said, "Yep, got screwed. Nothing else is new."
Mhm,
I should have just. I
mhm.
shouldn't even.
Nobody does it better than us, baby.
It was raw. It was raw when we came on here.
Yeah, yeah.
Those were raw emotions. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know. How did you react when they pulled 8? Besides,
Oh, I
you,
laughed.
we were texting
I let
quickly.
out a laugh.
You
Yeah.
laughed. I was sitting on the edge of my seat. I was sitting on the edge of my seat, my new apartment. I'm sitting here. Fiance is looking at me like I have 10 heads.
Mm.
Go down, and I'm like, oh my god, like, dude, this can't be real. It's just
Yeah, well, we will be alright. Let's take a little step back, you know, we'll reassess. There's gonna be the Nets are gonna draft the highest they've drafted in years. I'll stop trying to feed positivity to everyone. I know it's not what everyone wants to hear anymore.
I think everybody needs a couple days to like sleep on this and actually like get it because then I think once you for right now we're in denial and then when we start accepting it, you start it's fun. You start looking at some of these college prospects and realizing it isn't that bad. Um, it'll be interesting to see. We don't know where the other picks are shaking out yet, right? We don't.
No, we do. Yeah.
Oh, we
All the
do,
other ones
right?
are settled, yeah. They go by regular season order, and they did all the tiebreakers. Um, I believe the
It's
Bucks
not
last
very
place one is
good.
19. The others are in like the lowish like 20s.
I mean, look, Sean Marks has drafted very well since he's gotten here, and we know that. And they've never had anything higher than I think what 17
Something like that.
was
Yeah.
Jared Allen, and I think Jared Allen was the highest pick, and he acquired that uh, with the trade with Washington. He
Mhm.
sent Boyan Bogdanovich there. Um, on the bright side, like Sean Marks has maximized, in my respective opinion, that he's maximized bad picks or picks in the teens and the 20s.
Mhm.
They're gonna have 3 of those, or do they bundle them and move up a little bit? That's to be determined, but I do trust him in a draft filled with good talent and with
Yeah.
a top 10 pick. But what I don't trust is whether they're going to stick to the plan of building long term. Like, I don't know if they actually do they take this number 8 pick and package that with some other picks or other assets and actually try and move this thing along.
Maybe. If the Nets drafted first overall, if the Nets drafted Cooper Flag, he would probably be a bust with the Nets luck. So
Oh God,
that's
not wrong. I mean, it's just the way that things go around here.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think that when we moved from New Jersey to Brooklyn, everybody thought like the fortune would change, like like
Hell
new
no.
brand. You know what I mean? No, no, no. Hell no. Get that shit out of here.
It'll
Like,
get worse.
yeah. Uncle Nick, one more. We'll take one more from everyone. Again, we want to thank you guys for supporting and hopping in. Whether we agree or disagree, obviously we're all here for the same reason. We love to watch basketball. We love to watch the Nets. And if you're disappointed, if you're not, if you're able to just accept the results and move on, God bless you. If you're disappointed, we feel you. I mean, it's tough. So Uncle Nick says, I'd rather have the eighth pick in Jordy Fernandez than the first pick and the coach who coached us to the worst record in the league. I don't agree with that,
Yeah. I
respectfully.
don't know. I'd like to have both is the thing. Jason Kidd's a good coach. The Mavericks have both now. Like, it can happen. I don't know.
I don't know, dude. Like, there was a debate in Nets world a couple of years ago. Like, would you rather have Brad Stevens or I forget which player it was, and a lot of people were saying Brad Stevens. They're like, look, man, like these guys are great and all, but they're not the ones actually on the court. Like,
You can never
Dallas
really
is gonna get.
you can never really know. Now this is kind of like maybe wrong of me to say, but you can never really know who get because you never want to just say, "Oh, they got lucky." I think that's one of the laziest takes you can make in sports, whether it's a guy picking a guy or a guy, hitting shots or not. But I find it a little hard to believe that like Bob Myers just like knew ball when he drafted like Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Clay Thompson, like all these guys. There has to be a little bit of luck involved. So like you never really know,
Absolutely,
especially when
absolutely.
you're evaluating, who makes those decisions, whether it's, GM, assistant GM, whatever.
Like, and just some guys have it and some guys don't. Like
And all
you
it takes
can't.
is a few great picks, arguably even like one or two late round to be branded as like, oh, this guy knows how to draft. And then you can draft horribly.
Right.
Like, this is a coach thing, but this is different. I think Doc Rivers is the most overrated coach in NBA history. And he rode the coattails of that 2008 Celtics team for so long. A team that should have won more than one title, by the way, but was then just branded as this great coach and then had super team after super team after super team after super team and super team. He
Yeah.
had so many that it's going to drive me to the point where I mispronounce super team and lost and lost and lost and lost and threw his players under the bus over and over and over again. That can happen too. So I'm not saying that's directly implied to Sean Marks or anyone else.
No.
But when you're evaluating how great some of these front office guys are, it's something to keep in mind.
Well, I think it does apply to Sean Marks because we said no, no, he's done a good job with the picks that he's had. Jared Allen, Levert was a solid pick for where he got him.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I could go on, with a couple more names, but I think the point is understood. Now he's in the driver's seat. He's got a top 10 pick, and he's got 3 other picks with that. Like, he's got to capitalize on that. But how long can we wait too? Like, I keep saying this to you, Colin, but like this team has won 2 playoff series since they moved to Brooklyn. It's like, this is going to be Sean Marks' 10th year. Like, he's got to hit a triple with this. He's got to hit a double. Like, This can't be a single like Karis LeVert player or like good role player. Like, no, they need to find the face of their franchise because right now the face of their franchise is the guy that sat up at the podium tonight,
He looked
and
good
that's
tonight.
great. Though.
I like the shoot cert combo. Shoot
Yeah,
cert combo, the black and black.
yeah. It was one of the few times I seen him smile. It looked like he had like a little smirk on his face. I thought, oh wow, the Nets are definitely getting a top 5 pick tonight.
Nah, he just knew he had that shit on.
Oh man. All right, Colin. Well, any final words?
We will be all right.
We'll
That's all
always
I
be all
got.
right.
You don't have
Guys.
to believe me, but
Well, we'll always be here. That's for sure. We'll be here on the Brooklyn Pod. We'll be there at Nets Daily. If you want to get angry in the comments, we'll be on Twitter. And as always, it's a pleasure. I think next episode, when we get to like kind of digest all this and like really see the landscape of things, hear more rumors, hear again, do our due diligence on maybe some guys that the Nets will be working out and things of that nature. It'd be a little bit more fun to break this down. But right now, I'm going to call it as it is. It was a disappointing night in Nets world. A very disappointing night. So, Colin, on that note, everybody, we thank you for your support. Thanks for joining us tonight. We know that there are a lot of other live streams going on, and we appreciate you guys sticking with the Brooklyn Pod. If you want to contact us, we can be found at the Brooklyn Pod on X, the Brooklyn Pod on Instagram, and the Brooklyn Pod on TikTok. And if you want to email us any questions, concerns, whatever it might be, we are the Brooklyn Pod at gmail.com. We'll catch you guys next time, number 8 for a 26 win season. Not great, but we'll break it down in a couple weeks for you.